All right, this is a video for Math Models Unit 6, Lesson 1 about salaries. There's some key words in here that you just need to make sure you're understanding. Key terms. First of all, things like biweekly or I think there might be some other ones in here, but just these words that indicate time. It seems like they mostly use biweekly, but later there'll be some other terms, monthly, yearly, that kind of stuff. So just be aware that biweekly means that someone is being paid it every other week, every 2 weeks. And so that's kind of what you need to be aware of for that. So in all of these problems, you're going to be basically calculating the salary, and that is going to mostly just consist of you multiplying the wage or the dollars per hour, like you see here, times the number of hours worked. Now, again, we need to be aware of whether or not we're talking about weekly, biweekly, monthly, because that's going to determine the number of weeks that we do. So, for instance, in this first problem, we have a salary or a wage of $9.85 per hour, and it's 35 hours a week. She will be paid bi-weekly. What will her gross pay be for each paycheck? Gross pay just means before you do anything like taxes and all that stuff, which you're going to deal with later in this unit. But for now, we're just saying, what's the total amount of pay for this time period? And so we're going to just literally, for this one, we're going to multiply the number of dollars per hour, 985, and we're going to multiply it times 35. And then we're going to multiply that times 2, because just to make sure you understand, this is the wage times the number of hours times the number of weeks on that paycheck, because 35 hours a week, another way to think of that, we could do 70, but we're going to do 35 times 2. And so then we get 689.50. And that's all you got to do on most of these. Now I'm going to talk about a few of the kind of interesting ones, and that is going to be when you look at what you call overtime. So if you're not aware, overtime means if you work over 40 hours in a week, you get paid more for those hours that you go over. And so if it says, like, for instance, most of the time, it's going to say time and a half. Time and a half means that it's like every hour over 40 counts for an hour and a half. So it's like the 41st hour of work actually counts for 1.5 times the amount of pay. And so this one just wants to know gross pay for 1 week with 46 hours. So this gets a little bit more complicated because we have to calculate 2 values. First thing we're going to calculate is the first 40 hours. That one's easy. $11.15 per hour for 40 hours. So that's the first part. Times 40. So we need to write this number down. 446. All right, time 446. Let me just write that down here. So 446. Sorry about my messy writing. I'm doing this with my keypad, my mouse pad. All right, 446, right? So that's the start, the first 40 hours. So then we're going to go, okay, well, what about those next 6 hours? So those next 6 hours, I'm still going to do 11.15. But then I'm going to multiply times 1.5 to account for the overtime pay. And then I'm going to multiply times the 6 additional hours that they worked. So then they get another 100.35. And again, I'll just go ahead and I'll try to write this as neatly as I can. 135. I'm going to have to fix this when I'm writing later. It's okay. So it should be 546 and 35. And that's what you see right there. So you're just adding the first 40 hours and those 6 overtime hours, and that's where we get that value there. All right. More of the same. I'm going to let you do this one on your own. You have the pay, you have 40 hours of work, time and a half, but in this case, there is no overtime because she's only working 40 hours each week. So don't do any overtime, but it's biweekly. So you have 80 hours total, or 40 times 2. So that one should be like number 1. I'm going to skip through if these are the same. Now this one's different. Here we have 75 regular hours and 4 overtime hours. They even do that math for you, which is really helpful because you're going to do the hourly wage times 75. That's the amount of regular pay. And then you're going to do the wage times time and a half, 1.5, times 4. And that's going to be the overtime pay for that. Add those numbers together, excuse me, and then you're going to find the value there. That's going to be like number 2. All right, I'm going to keep going just to kind of make sure we covered everything. Chris's company has given her a raise, $17.95 per hour, but plans to change the way they pay to monthly instead of biweekly. Calculate what their gross pay will be for the new pay period for the following calculations. It pretty much tells you what to do. Multiply the biweekly gross by 26. So you're going to do that exact calculation, $17.95 times 80 times 26, get a number. Then divide that number times 12, get another number. I'm not going to do that one for you. It spells it out for you. Then it asks, what is the gross annual pay if she works 40 hours each week and has no overtime? So that would be the number you got here. Okay, that would be the number that you got here. 40 hours each week and there's no overtime. Yeah, so 40. Yeah, that should be the same answer. Yeah, that should be the same answer that you got in the previous number 1. Now I'm a little bit confused. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All they did was change the hourly wage. So now it's they want to know all the weeks. So it's like $27.35 times 40 hours for each week times 52 weeks. So you need to multiply those numbers together completely. So $27.95. I'll go ahead and do this one. $27.95 times 40 hours a week times 52 weeks in the entire year. So this is the hourly wage times the number of hours times the number of weeks, and then that's our answer for that one. I didn't get the answer they got. Oh, I did $27.95. I should have done $27.35. Let's fix that. There we go. $56,888. There we go. All right. What's the gross annual pay? Again, gross annual pay. So you need to calculate the weekly pay, which is going to be this times 40 plus the overtime. So do what you did in the previous problems. Find the amount for each week, which is going to be 40 hours of regular, 4 hours of overtime. Get a number for the weeks and multiply that answer times 52. And that's going to give you the annual pay. Salaried position. It says he's offered $28,000, but he expected to work 44 hours a week with no overtime. How much will he be paid per year if he remained in his present job and worked 44 hours a week? So we want to know, same question. If I work $11.15 an hour for 40 hours, overtime for 4 hours because it's 44, so the same calculation as the previous problem, but with this amount as the wage. And then you need to find the annual pay. So you need to do that answer times 52. And it's really just asking the question, is $28,000 better than what he's getting paid previously at this rate? So very similar to the previous problem. This is just a multiplication problem. You have the annual pay of $41,000. You have the weekly pay of $800. So you multiply that times 52 weeks. And then you have $1,700 times, says semi-monthly. So that means 2 times a month. So that means they would get paid 24 times. So you need to multiply that number times 24. And then you need to see which answer fits. What's the most and which one is, you just put them in order after you get the answers. And then you're down to vocabulary. And so I'll see you, and I will start getting ready for the next video